Hello everyone, my name is Hassan Abidi and I will be doing question 1 of comparison of means. Alright, so question 1 asks, in health administration programs, conducting satisfaction surveys are usually covered in courses on quality improvement. This exercise shows how data from satisfaction surveys can be analyzed over time. Assume that in different time periods, 4 randomly selected patients rated their satisfaction with our services. Are we improving? So right here we have our data and it shows the ratings based off of our 4 patients. And for this data set, we are going to be using control charts. So next we are going to calculate the average. In order to do that, we'll need to create a new column. You can name it average rating. And the formula for this is equals average B2 by E2. After you calculate the average for each of the columns, you will follow by calculating the average of all observations, which the formula will then be the average of all of the average rating column. And your answer should come out to about 77.5. So the next step is to calculate the standard deviation. In order to do this, you will calculate standard deviation dot p parentheses column B2 to E5, and you should get a standard deviation of 4.189. So next we are going to calculate the standard deviation of each individual period, and in order to do that we are going to write the formula equals F $7, which is the standard deviation of the entire data set, divided by the square root of count B2 by E2. And we'll do this for each individual column going down. So next we're going to be calculating the upper control limit and the lower control limit. So for this we are going to need to calculate the average of all observations plus t times standard deviation for that given time period. So our formula is going to be equals to F $6 plus 1.96 times G2. Now we're going to do the same thing for the lower control limit. So it's going to be the formula is going to be almost exactly the same as the upper control limit. The only difference is now we're going to subtract from t instead of adding plus t. So now the formula is going to be F $6 minus 1.96 times G2. So for our next step, we are going to be plotting the limits, and for this, our 3 main columns that we are going to be using are average rating, upper control limit, and lower control limit. So you'll want to take the 3 columns, average rating, upper control limit, and lower control limit. You can select these right on the chart that you have, or you can copy these 3 columns into a brand new chart if it makes it easier for yourself. What you're going to want to do is select those 3 columns and create a line graph, which will be in your insert tab right at the top of the banner. So this is how your graph should look in the end. Although we're not finished, we're going to clean it up a little bit, but it should look relatively similar to this. Next, we're going to want to clean up the chart a little bit. So start by making the upper control limit and the lower control limit the same color, followed by adding the markers to the average. In order to do this, it's a little tricky, but you need to go to, you need to click on one of the data points, then a format data point option will show up. Be sure to click on marker and click on the marker option and click built in, and this will allow you to create a marker point. So some final thoughts. Based on our control limits, we can see that the first time period falls just above the upper control limit, which indicates that we did well during this period, while the second time period falls just below the lower limit, and you can see that we did worse than usual. As we move, the data becomes more scarce, and the limits widen. This indicates that we did well during the first time period, but as we continued, the data became less clear. And this is sort of the issue with um, smaller amounts of data. Yes, you can get an answer for what you're looking for, but without a bigger picture, you're not really going to know too much about the data. Um, just one final thought too. Any of the data that I have gotten during this Teach 1 might vary slightly from your version of Excel due to numbers rounding differently or also just formatting. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.